ghost of the Badlands, while ostensibly taking the form of a dark legend, is in fact steeped in genuine, if little known or celebrated, Arizona history, as filtered through the romanticized lens of turn-of-the-century Western pulp writers. It's from their pens that we receive our most evocative, if often fictionalized, accounts of the real-life town of Canyon Diablo, Arizona, the haunting grounds of the ghost. Yet it is also the evergreen source of its controversy. As George Shaw of the Arizona State Railroad Museum put it, almost everything you've heard about Canyon Diablo is bullshit. But it was still an interesting place with fascinating details. As you can see, like many Old West towns, Canyon Diablo and its legend has its vociferous proponents and those dedicated to its dismantling. The Ghost of the Badlands represents a deliberate attempt to marry the true and, yes, fascinating story of Canyon Diablo, Arizona, with the mawkish gunfight tales of 30s pulp and purple prose of Gladwell Richardson. The real Canyon Diablo lies in northern Arizona, 38 miles east of Flagstaff. Its closest Arizona landmark is the world-famous Meteor Crater, which was discovered 12 miles to its southeast in 1891. From Two Guns for Arizona by pulp author Gladwell Richardson, published 1934, it was a shack town. Two lines of buildings faced each other across the rocky road on the north line of the right-of-way. They extended east 1 mile from the yellow-painted depot. It was the railhead for Flagstaff, Prescott, and other towns west and south. A regular stage line also operated between Flagstaff and Canyon Diablo." Unquote. From available maps, we can see this is at least consistent with the physical location. The town sprang up abruptly in 1880 after surveyors decreed the necessity of constructing a rail bridge across the eponymous Canyon Diablo. Those same early surveyors are reputed to have named the canyon after the string of epithets the Mexican guides ejaculated as they circumnavigated the trialsome ravine. To hear pulp writers of the period tell it, the bridge would not be completed for over a decade, as the distance across the lethal expanse had initially been miscalculated, and so the railroad would stand unconstructed for over a decade, while a reascendant Gomorrah would slowly rise around it. It is during this purgatory period in which our story takes place. It's said that of the first 6 sheriffs who dared patrol Hell Street, none survived longer than a single month. Hell Street being Canyon Diablo's folk eponym for Main Street. As we immortalize in the comic itself, local legend says that the first of these was sworn in at 3 p.m. and buried by 8 that evening. In reality, the bridge over Canyon Diablo, though far from simple in its construction, was in fact completed relatively on schedule, beginning work in January 1882 and being completed, according to public records, the following July. Though given that it's since been replaced by an expanse of more modern construction, the likelihood that it required regular maintenance or even a complete teardown isn't completely outside the realm of possibility. As for Gladwell Richardson, who the Arizona Republic recently laid most of the blame for fictionalizing Canyon Diablo, he's believed to have become fascinated with the town while working at the nearby tourist trap of Two Guns, also featured anachronistically in our story. Whatever the fiction, the fact of the place seems to countervail against the Arizona Republic's fumbling attempts at revisionism. One need look no further than the Hell on Wheels towns, immortalized on AMC's television show of the same name, which sprang up all along the route of the Union Pacific, to recognize that Canyon Diablo would likely have been among the most raucous and lawless of these. For what could be more murderous or libidinous than a Hell on Wheels town that, due to bridge construction, had months and even years to fester in the sweltering Arizona sun? What we know for certain is that by the early 20th century, Canyon Diablo would evaporate into the desert wind like so many such railroad boomtowns, a victim of the protractions of progress and of altering railroad routes. Today, only a few ruined and ancient buildings, the most visible of which being the trading post, remain in the location. Nearby, the grave of the man who ran it, Herman Wolfe. But like the ghost that stalks its saloons and alleyways, its spirit continues to haunt the Arizona desert.